Hello.
Hey, hello everyone.
Morning. Aloha, bonjour.
Guten Morgen.
There you go.
Hello.
Hello. Hello to all.
Yes.
Well, welcome. We're two psychic moms, and we are here on Tuesday, May 10th, just following Mother's Day. And as you can see from Tammy's background, it's spring at Filoli Gardens, even though
Yeah.
a different spring.
Filoli, yes, yes.
And so, yeah, we're two psychic moms. Tammy, want to introduce us?
Well, sure. So thanks for tuning in. We love to work with questions. We want to get that in really quick. So any questions that you have for us that are for the general, for the all, then send them to us and we will try to address them for you. So I am Tammy Langowski. I am an intuitive advisor to your questions. I do offer private sessions as well. You can reach me, tammysintuitive.com is my website. I do have social media, Tammy's Intuitive Services. You'll find that Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and yeah, all that good stuff. So, and how about for you, Julie?
I'm Julie Hawkins. I'm the biz psychic, and yeah, I kind of found here and there too. I don't really, I'm just I really don't engage a lot in social media. So just in case you're wondering, but I am with Tammy on Two Psychic Moms on YouTube. And then of course I post that to Biz Psychic group that I have and to my personal Facebook page. Okay. And my computer, I was telling Tammy this morning, decided that it wanted to install something right as I was going to start the call. I think actually it might have been a Zoom update or something, just decided to do it on its own.
Yeah.
So, but that dialogue box disappeared. So I'm just hoping that all is well. It's always a surprise on my computer, and I never really know why. It's not even a computer I've used a lot in the past, and it's just, I think it was just a lemon from the get-go, which I'm not going to go into. Okay. So we do have questions today.
We do.
So why don't we? Do you want me to read Daphne's for? Daphne's one of our very loyal followers and submits wonderful, involved, in-depth questions, and so they're usually multi-parts, which is great. And so we have quite a bit of a conglomeration of things here from Daphne. So if I read it, then do you want to just tell me, do you want me to read it through all the way and then just read parts of it? How would you like?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's read it all so everybody gets the gist of it, and then maybe we can, pick to the gist of it. I mean the main question of it.
Right. You want to read the whole thing and then I'll read it back, or what?
Yeah, sure. I can do that.
Apparently I cannot make a decision today. So,
No, so we're just so polite with each other. Must be our earth sign traits. I don't know. Okay. So let's see. Daphne says, I have a question for Two Psychic Moms. Okay. Can soul contracts, I know I always say that these are good questions, but really this is a good question. Can soul contracts be unbound or destroyed? During the life we live, we go through hardships so that all involved in the soul contracts learn something. If in the case, one of the souls already learned what they needed to learn, but is suffering from the brunt of the blow so that the other soul can learn, can the soul that already is learned bow out of this contract? Who hasn't felt that before and wondered about that? Like, really, I'm tired of being, I call it the teacher, I think some of my clients, by the way, have been even tired of hearing that they're the teacher. I get it. Okay. So she says this way, the other soul needs to learn that lesson with a different soul. In situations where the contract is where you take the brunt of the blow so that they can learn their lessons easily, is this because the person taking the hit has confidence issues and low self-worth, therefore signing up to be the teacher at a huge cost to herself or himself, whatever it might be? Can it be changed where this person won't take the blow?
Well, there's so much going on there.
Yeah. And it's really about the same question, isn't it? It really
is. It really is. So
yeah.
I'm going to let you go ahead and answer, because we always come back and reword certain things in a way because we just want you. So you go for it and then we'll come back.
Okay, I'm just kind of looking again. She does talk about some other things, but it gets into some, personal situations, right? I mean, not really, but kind of. So, but we get the question. And the question then guides, as I just tune in again here to our guides about this question, can, you know, guides, you know what we're talking about, because I know you've told other clients, some clients about them being in this teacher role in a lifetime where it feels like, they're always getting the short end of the stick, as the saying is, where you're there for the other person you've contracted, perhaps an agreement has been there that you would help this soul grow and be that pushback at times, or be in that situation where you're just trying to help them. However, it's at a cost to you. And so we are wondering, guides, can soul agreements like that, which seem to be repetitive and very hurtful on the one end, can they be separated? Can they be, nulled and voided? Can they be, I don't know, there's another word for it, probably, I just can't think of it, but you get my point.
Renegotiated?
Renegotiated, yeah, exactly. Can they be, or just end? Like she said, can you bow out of one of these?
Yeah.
Well, the first thing I'm hearing is that in time you do. In time you do. There are enough lifetimes that may be involved where you are finished, done, and that you come to the final realization with that soul that that is all that you can do. And you might see that nothing has changed. When things really, this is them saying, when things really should have been changed on that other person's end. And they're clearly not ready, no matter who is showing it to them and how hard they're showing it to them or helping them with it and giving them opportunity, they are still refusing to do so. So there comes a point in a lifetime where it's made very clear that I am done with this. Can you end the agreement? Yes, of course you can. You can. You see, all agreements are first formed out of love. It is actually an agreement out of love to try to help this other soul. But there are some that are just not ready, and they may not be ready for many, many lifetimes. So again, we say, you may be in a lifetime where you're taking the brunt of it over and over. In one particular lifetime, we'll say over and over again, because you haven't learned enough about yourself and your boundaries. So here they are teaching you and helping you. And so you are trying to, learn, navigate through that. Then you come to a lifetime such as maybe this lifetime for Daphne, who is very clear that this is so hurtful. I'm tired of it. And I don't like being on this end of it anymore. You just said that. There you go. There's the enlightenment. There's now the opportunity to end the agreement, not only in this lifetime, but for future lifetimes. Telepathically, they're giving me the word telepathically, you can send that sort of thought and information to that other person you're in agreement with, that it is time for you respectfully and with love to back out, in a sense, of this, because that maybe you've done all that you can. Many of you will relate to this. Many of you will relate to this in family dynamics, especially. That's a big one. But it can be in the work environment. It can be in close proximity to things. So we say you can, if you're feeling that there is so much suffering. And I do want to get to the other part of that too, if I may, which was about, does it mean the person who's taking it has, self-esteem issues, basically? Yes, in some ways, yes. You two are just learning. You're just learning. And that was the agreement with this other soul, is to help you with that as well. How much will you take? How much does it take for you to start again setting the boundaries and loving yourself? Not saying you don't love yourself, but it's more exercise in that. So it is a mutual agreement. But yes, it can be broken. I think sometimes it's super valuable. We know that our biggest conflicts give us the biggest growth. So they're saying not to throw in the towel too quickly, but if you truly are at a place where you know for sure you cannot help this other soul, and you really have tried in a very, loving way, then maybe it's time. You can tell them that, communicate it, right, to them verbally and telepathically, both, whatever it might be. So I'm going to rest with that for now. So what do you have for that, Julie?
Well, we agree with much of that. We're going to come back and give you our perspective again on language, because it feels like this is just an old conversation we keep having with people. Whereas remember, and maybe we're being splitting hairs, as you like to call it here, but this is not about a soul learning a lesson. This is about a human learning a lesson. Okay. Remember that your soul is perfect as it is. You do have soul agreements. You do have agreements to connect with other souls. And it is for the purpose that the lifetimes that you may spend with them are for growth for each. Yes, we agree with Tammy and Tammy's guides that you can choose to make a new agreement, back out of it, decide this is not for me in this lifetime. Absolutely, you have the free will to do that. We want you to remember you came into this lifetime with this group of people, the ones who are triggering you, to get triggered so that you can learn from it and grow from it. Now, it may not be the right time for you to do that. This is very common for humans. It happens and you're like, oh no, I'm not dealing with that now. And then it keeps happening and you're like, no, I'm not dealing with that now. No, I'm not dealing with it now. I'll give you a perfect example. I hope my friend doesn't kill me. I have a very, very, very dear friend. And she has been working at a company. She doesn't live around here, actually, in the Bay Area. And she's been working at a company at this job for 17 years and just works her heart out at it. And in that 17 years, she's never gotten a promotion. And she just kind of kept moseying along because it was like, well, the title doesn't really mean as much as give me the bonuses, right? As the money, which was fine for her for a while. And then there was a change in personnel, as it happens to be a lot in the industry that she's in. And one of her coworkers then became her boss. And they had an agreement where if she did this certain thing and was on this path, that she would then earn a promotion. Okay. She comes back to my friend and says, great, you did all this work I'm going to put in for the promotion. And my friend's like, okay, kind of thought that was already in her mind. It had already been arranged that if she achieved those goals, that the promotion was imminent. The friend comes back and says, her boss comes back and says, your promotion was denied. And my friend's like, what? Yeah. What happened? And she was dancing because clearly a couple of things. She was new. She's fairly new to that role as supervisor, I think a year, maybe. She came in with much less experience than my friend had in the industry as a whole, and didn't really know how to handle this whole thing. So the bottom line is this turned into kind of a shit show, okay? And my friend is like, that's it. I have taken this for 17 years. I am done taking this. Now she's of a certain age where, nobody really wants to go out and look for another job, but then you reach a certain age and you really don't want to look for another job, right? She kept putting it off until this happened. So, and she's very serious now. She's got a lot of interest in her because she's very, very good at what she does. And everybody she's contacted, whom she's worked with and had worked at her company, is like, what took you so long? So sometimes we are not always ready to learn the lesson. It may not even happen in that lifetime. And so we say, as did Tammy, don't be so hasty to think about renegotiating that contract, we want you to take a good look at it and say, what is the lesson I'm here to learn from it? Okay. This is conscious human stuff. That's why we're differentiating from a soul contract. Okay. Your soul contract, as you like to call it, says you're here to, in this lifetime, to learn certain things. So we want you to really reflect on that and think, what am I here to learn? And if you're taking what you call as hits, that's part of the lesson, is it not? Okay. Just like my friend took these hit after hit after hit after hit. And then you reach a threshold where you're like, I'm not going to do this anymore. And that's the woohoo light bulb moment, right? Where you're like, okay, now how do I do this? And it's almost 99% of the time never as bad as you think it is going to be. But it does require work. And so there are resources out there. If you're struggling and seeing the same experience over and over and over again, maybe it's a therapist that you want to talk to. Maybe it's a coach that you want to engage. I'm all for coaching, you know. So while the essence of your question is, can you renegotiate it? Yes, you can say stop, no to this anytime. But remember, when you do that, you're saying stop, no to growth. And that's not what you came here for, as crappy as it may seem at times. And it is. It can be crappy. That's what human, hello. So being human is all about for you. It's so funny. As I was saying to Tammy this morning, my computer was messing up. My cat jumped off my desk and knocked over my light. And I walked into the hall and I'm like, what? And they're like, human stuff. Remember, it's just human stuff. And I'm like, you're right. It's just human stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's what you make it up here. If that's the biggest deal that happened in my life,
Exactly. Right.
right?
Yeah.
And so we really want you to think about putting it into perspective and thinking about how you can change it in here to make it more loving and compassionate for you, to you, from you, so that you can grow in a loving, kind, and compassionate way. And that's not always easy. It can be, you know, the whole self-worth thing. You're taking crap from somebody. Yeah, takes your self-worth will take a hit from that. And so a lot of this, just in my years of doing trainings and my NLP work, almost everything, if you read my book, plug to the book, almost every negative feeling of anger, frustration, all those negative feelings that self-sabotage us come down to not being able to set boundaries. So take a look at that as well. Okay.
Absolutely.
So anything to add?
Yeah, I would just say, no, that was all great. And thank you for that. And I think if anything, I would just add again that, take a look at one's energy, maybe what your expectations are. Now, consciously, somebody's saying, I'm not expecting to get, beat up, so to speak, at work, right? But obviously there's an energy or something, again, kind of goes back to what we were talking about, what you're learning about maybe in this lifetime, one of your lessons. But, do take in a check on your energy. Where have your thoughts been lately? What's your expectations? Remember, you can do a lot to set your energy a certain way of what you expect to have to attract back to you. So, do the positive affirmations, do some of that work that will help set your energy to attract that light vibration. So that might be just something else as well to think about.
It's a dance, right? Life, it's a dance of life. I'm glad you brought up expectations. And again, I spend a lot of time on that in my book. So if you haven't read my book.
Yeah. What's the name of your book again, Julie?
Where did I put it here? But it's called How to Say No Without Guilt and 6 Achievable Steps to Compassionately Set Boundaries. And so just
great information for sure. Yeah.
It really is about all those things. So, but remember, you're here to learn. That's the thing about being a human.
Yeah.
I hear you. I think we've all said, wow, I'm really tired of this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. In the bottom line, I think, is in any given situation, with anything that you're going through, that's like conflict and stuff, is just sit with it. And like Julie was mentioning, you're taking note of how it's affecting you, what you're feeling, what can you do differently. There's reasons those things come in for us, and we've all experienced it, and we probably will continue, to experience some of those things. So really, that's the best thing, going back to, what did I learn from that?
Exactly. Oh,
What did I
always ask, or what do I need
exactly.
to learn from that?
Yeah, exactly. Right. What was I like to do things like a group, maybe we've discussed this before, but like if I've been with a group of people or something, I always come away, and most of us don't do this. We just go on to the next thing we got to do. But I like to really, and I'm sure others do this as well, I'm not saying only me, but I like to sit with it and think, how did I feel about that interaction with everybody?
Yeah.
What feelings were elicited? Is that the word that came out, right? What was I sitting with? Where is it? Because there's so much you can learn from that.
So much. And truly, it's a really important question, Tammy. And I'm like you. I think the more work we do, and the more we age with this question and wisdom, it's just a common question to ask. What do I need to learn from that?
Yeah.
And so here's what I can end my thoughts with about that. It's here for you to learn. When you learn it, you will not experience that situation pretty much ever again. It might come up from time to time just to remind you, oh, wow, I used to do that. Or somebody else is doing it, and how can I help them to see it? But you don't technically have to experience it anymore, because you learned the lesson.
Right. Yep. You're learning it right now, Daphne.
Exactly.
You are learning a valuable lesson for yourself. So that is actually progress. Everything that's happening to you, as hard as that may be, or for anybody that's going through something like this right now, you're learning. Good for you. Congratulations. It's more than what you might have done before. You're making progress. So
The hardest thing is to sit with something that's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do that. But when you do it and just take that moment and go, okay, it's about me learning to love myself more than letting a job of 17 years make me feel so bad about myself. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go out there and see what the reality is, or whatever the lesson is to learn. So, wow, juicy question. Juicy.
I know. Huh? Good one. Thank you.
Good. All
I
right.
think a lot of people can relate to that question.
Definitely. Okay. It's like that was such a good, juicy, positive question in so many ways. I hate to ask these questions, but I'm going to do it anyway and see what comes up.
Go for it.
So, I know I'm not somebody who generally has anxiety. It's pretty rare for me, but a lot of people do. And we are in a place in our world view where lots of people are wondering, what's going to happen? Are we going to have another world war? And so I jotted down a couple of questions. And so I'm going to put these out and see what happens, and what your guides say, what my guides say. And so the question was, will we have a World War III?
First thing I'm hearing is, well, they said it a couple different ways. That's why I'm hesitating. Wow, it's so weird. Okay, it's like it shows it for me, like I get the words "not yet," which are words my guides often like to use in readings when it makes sense to say that. So I'm hearing, there's a pressing back against that idea. Okay, pressing back, But then I hear a "not yet," and certainly, and then I almost get the impression that none of us are really aware of it coming yet, but it could be later on. We don't see it coming anytime soon, is what I'm getting. Although we don't say for sure it won't happen. That's they're telling me right now, to be honest. But there is pushback against the idea, which is good, obviously.
Yeah.
But the not yet just means literally let's wait to see what's created, right? What direction it goes in. Okay, we don't see it happening, but we can't say for sure it's not going to happen. That's exactly what I heard. Which goes with what they're kind of saying. Maybe a not yet, not right now. There's a pushback against it.
I got something I'd never gotten before. This was really interesting.
And yet there's a call for action. I'm also hearing that. So
There is. And I think what my guides are saying will
okay.
some of that. So we got the same thing. If you're thinking of a conventional, traditional battle with weapons and a World War III, we don't see that anytime soon either. We can't say it's never going to happen. It's like Tammy's guides. We just don't feel that it's imminent. What we do see is a World War III of consciousness. That's what they called it, where the pushback you're feeling of this, not to have a physical World War III, but a change in consciousness about where we're at as a planet, as a group of countries, that is maybe we won't call it, well, we're going to call it a World War III, because things have to change on your planet in very, very big ways. If that doesn't happen, it's going to get ugly on your planet. Ugly environmentally, ugly place to live, ugly where, those zombie shows? You're not going to have zombies, but it's going to be people stealing and fighting each other because resources are going to be scarce. Okay, so there has to be this World War III of consciousness. And it kind of relates into the other question that I had, which is, what's going to happen as a result of the likely overturning of Roe v. Wade? What will happen to women? And so again, that plays into this World War III of consciousness, where your consciousness as it stands now on your planet is saying, no, we are not going to have this. We are not going to let this pushback, this step backward emerge again. There has to be we have to move forward and into a progression of compassion and love instead of fear and hate. And that's why we call it, if you will, that World War III of consciousness. So we do feel that coming. It's going to be step forward, step back, step forward, step. There's always going to be this battling of power, because the people who don't want to give up their power don't want to give up their power. And that is achieved through fear and pitting me against you and us against them. And so we have to overcome that as a planet, as a society, as a consciousnness, so that it doesn't turn into a violent, as you might think of it, as it was for World War I and World War II. We are past that kind of a war.
Yeah.
Globally. So I think that answers the question of will there be that type of typical war that we've had in the past with weapons? And here's what we got the other day. We feel, and we were thinking about this happens a lot to me. I will hear stuff, and then a couple of days later, I hear it on TV. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it does that ever happen?
I've had that. I've had clusters of things like that happen. Yeah, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
So what I heard was, in order for Russia to pull back and save face, because they're reaching a tipping point where the more they push, the bigger the push back is, and they're not going to get he's not going to get what he wants or wanted. So he has to change the narrative and say, oh, we came in and we won and we're taking this region back. So he's not going to, they're going to take this portion of he's going to claim this portion of Ukraine. I think it's on the east, and where they're more Russia sympathetic is what they call it. And that's going to be his victory, right? That's where it stands at this moment. This is what we feel is a path out of this big freaking mess that he has caused. So, because the world consciousness is not what in his, it's not where he's coming from. That's, it's just not. And so that, I want to make sure that I explain that all adequately, because sometimes they just give it to me and it comes out of my mouth and I don't know if it's making any sense. So we see that as what's going to happen at this moment in time, that he's going to claim that portion of Ukraine as his victory. They're going to let it go at that, and everybody's going to regroup and move on to try to rebuild Ukraine again. And that will be the end of the actual war and fighting and weaponry that is happening there. You know, I don't know if you remember back at the beginning when this happened, and it's been, I think something like 76 days. We said this was not going to be a long war. They didn't clarify what long meant or what short meant, but my sense of it was under a year, and that within that time period. And Tammy and I think we talked about something happening in June and then rebuilding starting in September. And we feel that this is a pretty good timeline at this moment. You know, this is something that the energy can change so rapidly that this is where we're at in that moment. So anything to add to that?
Yeah, Julie, that was all great. And it's something that was coming from me right when you made that, you know, the idea of World War III, not in the sense of what we think of that. It was interesting because, yeah, I was shown kind of the same thing, that what I was shown is that human beings on the planet, there's shame around war. Now, should there be shame around war? Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. Yeah. But before, there wasn't as much shame around it. There was a lot of honor around it. And I'm not saying there might not be some of that still, but what I'm sensing is that we're collectively have shifted away from that. Like, well, man, we just look bad if we're in war, this just doesn't look good. It's almost like, I don't want to call it a fad. I almost want to say it's that kind of energy where people, you know what I mean? People get into this whole mindset. So that's good. I mean, obviously we don't want war, but I agree how, like you said, Julie, like it's seeping. How I got it is it could seep out into other ways. It could seep out into and manifest in different ways than what looks so shameful for, like you said, the weapons and, war, destruction that way. Anyway, I just wanted to add that because I was kind of, as you were saying that, it was getting similar to what you were, and that's how it was shown to me. So I just wanted to share that.
It's people, they're tired. They don't want this.
Yeah.
It's like, we've had enough war with the pandemic for going into year 3, as we told you almost 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And so we're done with all that. We want to move and focus on things that matter. And not that Ukraine doesn't matter. It matters greatly. In fact, more than you may realize. But we're not going to put up with that as a planet anymore. The consciousness is like 80% of the consciousness is no to that, no to you can't move in and do this. And we're going to move forward because we have to work on the things that we need to, so that we move forward and have a source of food and an environment that we can breathe in and water that's drinkable. Because I have to tell you, now this is me, maybe my guys will chime in, just from this whole 75 plus days of, of this war, the food, not chain, the food supply has been wiped out. My understanding is that Ukraine is like the #1 supplier of wheat.
Oh, didn't know.
I don't eat wheat. So, but nonetheless, 90% of the rest of the world does. And so I don't know, I just made up that number. But, so things are should be of more concern than you realize, is what we're saying. And this is the reason why there has to be a World War III, a revolution in consciousness, because your food supply is in danger. We'll say that it is in danger. And as much as your air and your environment and water, and it's a mess. Things are a mess here on planet Earth. We know planet Earth will survive, but you as humans may muck it up and may not be pretty. So I think that's enough for today. I had a question about politics, but personally, I can't even go there today. So maybe we'll just save it for next time, because I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. So
Why not? Yeah.
We'll see what it is. We'll hold it till the next episode, whether that's next week or in 2 weeks. We'll see. But
yeah,
I have to personally take a deep breath. That was
yeah.
a lot of stuff, a lot of energy, a lot of thought, a lot of swirling energy. So anything you want to add to before we close and say, go share this with people?
I just, as you were saying that, I was just, what do we go back to right now? Guides are focusing right now on grounding, being very grounded on the planet, and not letting emotions, are saying, and negative thoughts take flight. That's why they're showing me the grounding again, how important it is for us to really center every day, whether that's through breathing, breath work, whether it's through meditation, or any walking on the grass. We always say, there's different ways to make sure you're grounding. So that's coming through for me right now, because I think yes, is it good every day to do it? But if I hear them talk about it right now, that means that we're really needing to be reminded of how important it is.
It's a powerful reminder. And as you were doing it, they brought me here and said, when all else fails, go into the energy of your heart. It keeps you alive, and it is that which sends out everything, right? It emits its own energy waves. Oh, I got goosebumps.
No, it's true.
Yeah. And so when you feel anxiety or anger or depression or whatever it is, go and sit for a moment and feel the power and the love that comes from this organ that is an amazing thing that you can't survive without, but it's powerful. So
it is. Hand over the heart. It's a very simple, soothing.
Yeah,
maybe it goes back to childhood, because that's what it just did for me. I mean, everybody's had different childhoods, but there was something right when I put my hand over my heart. Maybe it brought back nurturing, to when we were children, if we weren't well, whether it was on our forehead or here on our chest. So think about that, because I'm even calmer as I'm talking to you right now.
Exactly. It's a powerful reminder. It really just is a natural evocation of love.
It's a reminder of love. Yeah.
Exactly. All right.
Yeah. Good one.
Well, thank you. Those were very, very, very powerful questions, and keep them coming, please. And keep sharing this, even if you're like, hey, I just watched this video about this, and maybe somebody who might like it. And
we appreciate that for sure.
All right. Until next time, we are Two Psychic Moms. You can find us on YouTube, and you can find Tammy in a few other places, and we're both available for readings. So we're sending out so much love to you. That's always the place to start, right? End to end.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Until next time.